On page 11, we're going to continue looking at if-else statements, but this time with complex conditions. So not just if it's greater than something, but if it's greater than something and less than something else, for example, with this bit here. So as before, we're going to draw the boxes. Don't get confused with this one. So it's not like greater than or equals. In Haggis, it won't just write equals equals, it will write equals in capital letters for some reason. Not sure why, but just be aware of that. So we're going to put a box around that as well. And then we're going to put a box around the condition, not as two separate conditions, but as one giant one. And that's it for variables and conditions. So then we put our arrows in to show the flow of the program. So we've got a down arrow here, and then another one there. And we're gonna have this go here, and then there's going to be a down arrow there, and one that goes around to this bit here, and then you just go down as normal. This is meant to be on one line. I'm not sure what's happened there, and that looks like it. Yeah. Then we put the true and false bits in. So if this statement is true, this is the bit of code you're going to run. If this statement is, and that means this is going to be false, sorry, so let's put that in. If this statement is true, you put that, well, you run this bit, and if it's false, you put that there. And then else, well, it can only be, it's just going to follow else in this case. So it's not, you don't have to do a true or anything there. So we'll put our columns in. So our columns are going to be number of cats. So number of cats. Oh, that looks horrendous. I'm just going to write, I'm going to put this short, we'll say knock number of cats equals 0 equals 0. That is for this bit here. And this one we're going to put in knock is greater than or equal to 1. There's no way I'm doing the and symbol, the ampersand, so I'll just write plus, and okay, so those are our columns. Now we can actually work through it. So we've got number of cats here, receive it from the keyboard. So the user's going to type in a number, they're going to type in 0, and what's going to happen is the computer is going to check if the number of cats equals 0. Well, what do you know? It is equal to 0. So the first one is true, and it will say you have no cats to display. So you have no cats. Then the program, now what's important here, and one of the reasons that we're doing this whole tracks thing, is this is not false. When this is true, that does not mean this is false. That does not mean this is false. Or this, like, so the first one obviously isn't false because it's true, but this one is not automatically false at all. It just stops completely. So nothing happens. So the program would end, and then you would boot it up again, and we'd type in 2. So let's type in 2. What happens this time? Well, so we've already typed in 2. If number of cats equals 0, obviously 2 is not equal to 0. So this column is going to be false, and we're going to follow this path along here. And then we get to number of cats is greater than or equal to 1, and number of cats is less than 4. So in other words, is cats between 1 and 4? Yeah, it is. The number 2 is between 1 and 4. So we're going to put an F, sorry, we're going to put a T under this column. So we're going to put a true there, okay? You could put it in line if you want. Later on, it makes sense to not put them in lines, but I would recommend you just put it up to the top. I know it might be a bit weird to think of right now. Why does this go up? The whole point of this is that you're tracking changes in variables, and you're seeing what's happening. You're not just putting them in pretty straight lines. I know that does seem weird at the moment, but trust me, later on it will make sense why we're doing this. So we put T there. And then because t is there, right, you have a normal amount of cats. I'm not writing all that. That's too much for this mouse. So I'll just write normal cats, right? Then the program would end. Go back round because we start again. Get the number of cats from the keyboard. It is 10. If the number of cats is equal to 0, it's 10 is not equal to 0. So again, it's F. If number of cats is between 1 and 4, 10 is not between 1 and 4. So we put an F here. So we follow this F path. Oops. Follow this F path, and then we get to the else, and you just write too many. I can't even fit all that in. So I'll just write too many cats. And that's how it's done. Hopefully that makes sense. The next slide, slide 12, is very similar. I'm not going to go over that right now. It's just a harder version of that. So you would just do that, and then you would do that, and you'd have your true, and then your false, and then you would like bump all the way down. You have loads of arrows, and you've this grid should be quite large by the time you're finished. And will I cover this video now? Yeah, I'll cover this slide. Slide 13 it's just if statements again, except it uses booleans. So booleans are just set to false. So when you get to pupil passed here, right? I'm not going to go through the whole page, but pupil passed to false, you just write F. And you work from there, and now it actually checks if it's equal to true there, and then you have another true or false. You know what, we'll work through this whole thing because maybe that is a bit confusing, sorry. So let's just, where did the pen go? So let's highlight this, highlight our conditions, and then pupil passed equals true is one condition. So that means our columns are pupil passed, mark, mark greater than 50, and pupil passed equals true. I'll just call it pupil P equals T. Right, what happens here is set pupil passed to false so pupil passed is false to begin with. Receive the mark from keyboard, so we get 56 from keyboard. And if the mark is greater than or equal to 50, is 56 greater than or equal to 50? Yeah, it is. So we'll put in true, and that means we'd follow the true path here, which I forgot to put in. And then we set pupil passed to true, so it was originally false, it now becomes true. If pupil passed equals true, say this, so it checks if it's equal to true. Well, we just changed it, so you just write true here, you follow the true path. All I'm saying is true over and over again, and then you write congratulations. And you then just try it again for 49 and 50 and see what results you get. Right, I think I'll wrap up the video there. Thank you for listening.